Hello friend, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the best budget key light for solo filmmakers, what it is, and why I think it is the best option as we near the end of 2024. I'm in my studio. I actually have a client shoot here in about an hour, and so wrote down a bunch of notes on my phone. I'm going to try to go fast, but excuse me for reading if you don't like that. But I do want to mention this video is not sponsored. I have no affiliation with this company. They did not send me this product. This is just my own recommendation as I'm running a video production company here in Kansas City, and I've gotten a lot of use out of this light. And I don't think there's a lot of people talking about this light on YouTube. So I just wanted to add to that conversation, give you guys options from someone who's using these products day in, day out. And I am going to mention one product in this video that I got sent, but it's something you guys have previously seen here on the channel. It's sort of an update as the product got changed since I last talked about it. I want to share about some of those features and just let you guys know my thoughts on it. So the light that I'm going to talk about is not new. It's actually been around for a while. It is the nanlite fs300b. And if you've been around my channel any length of time, you've probably seen me using this light. I made a budget lighting kit video, I think last year. So this was just kind of a follow-up to that, but I want to specifically more talk about this light and why I think it is a really solid option for solo filmmakers. So if you know nothing about this light, it is a 300 watt bicolor COB video light, retails for just $239 at the time of making this video, which I think is absolutely crazy. It definitely blows anything out of the water in that price category. And this is not a super nerdy channel. I'm not going to dive in a ton to the specs and a bunch of data, but I am going to link a news shooter article that goes into a lot of that info and kind of compares this to other options on the market, goes into all the nerdy data, even comparing it to nanlite's higher priced offerings like the 720B. So go check that out if you're interested and you're not sold based on just what I'm saying alone. I think when I made my last video, I recommended the nanlite FS300, and I have since switched to the bicolor models just because the chip design is quite a bit better, and the bicolor just from my workflow has been really nice to have that flexibility of color temperature. And so really I'm making this video because I now own 3 of the FS300Bs and feel like really confident in making that recommendation to you guys. And because this video might be geared more towards beginners, I just want to talk really briefly on 300 watt lights, why you might want to consider them, and maybe what's the difference between like a 60 watt light and a 300 watt light. So as you get in a video, probably one of the first lights you're going to buy is something in the 60 watt category. It could be like a 60 watt or a 100 watt. These are usually the most budget friendly lights on the market. It's perfect for getting you started. You know, if you're filming yourself in your room, just doing a simple talking head, it gets the job done. I had a 60 watt light. I think I had the Godox SL60W. I started getting paid projects using this light, and it's really solid. But the more that you do, you're going to start running into challenges with just output. And so the first is if you're shooting in any type of space with natural light coming in through the windows, or you're trying to compete with some light that is already in the space, 60 watts is just not going to get it done. And I think 300 watts is kind of that next tier that's worth considering. Everything in between, I don't think is going to get you enough output. So an 100 watt or a 200 watt, I think you're kind of splitting hairs at that point, where if you just save a little bit of money, I think spending it on a 300 watt light is going to be extremely versatile and is going to get you through the majority of scenarios you find yourself in as you're starting out. The next point I want to make is just picking a reputable brand. So if you survey the market, there are so many brands making LED lights. I think kind of at the top of the prosumer world, you've got Aperture, which includes Amaran, then you have nanlite. I would kind of throw Godox in there, someone who's been around, is making some more professional lights, but also stuff for the prosumer market. And then you're gonna have a ton of brands that you guys see, especially here on YouTube. You're gonna see, you know, Zhiyun, Suray started making lights, Small Rig, GVM. There's all of these other lights that have started to be produced, you know, at intriguing price points. And I think as you're starting out, if you're wanting to kind of play the long game with video production and get stuff that's going to last, I really think with lighting, picking one brand is incredibly important. I've had the privilege of trying out a bunch of different lights as some companies have started to send them to me, but for my professional work, I'm sticking with nanlite as they are in that kind of reputable brand, been around a while. They have a large product offering. things that I can grow into, and in my head, just compared to Aperture, have a lot more of a budget-friendly price point, even compared to their Amaran line. So we're gonna get into prices of this light later, but I think nanlite with this light in particular is a really intriguing option for filmmakers if you're needing to invest in your own gear for your own projects. There are so many lights coming out from these other brands that really do look great. The only issue you're gonna run into is as you start getting different brands, let's say you have some from Zhiyun, some from nanlite, some from Amaran, when you get onto a production, you're trying to set those up, switching between 3 different apps on your phone is way more of a headache than you would think. And so you just really want to think about that from the get-go. I think my first light was a Godox, but since then I've really hopped onto nanlite. I've really enjoyed their products, have a few different ones in their line, and that works well for me. Moving on to the pros of the nanlite fs300b. I'm just gonna run through them. The first is just the output for the price. So it's 300 watts. I think it technically is 350 watts, but they tone that back because it is bicolor to make sure you're getting solid output across the spectrum. And the price, again, I mentioned is $239. If you compare that to other things on the market, it's just pretty crazy. A few of them, Amaran 200X is 349 bucks. GVM makes a 300 watt light and it's 338 bucks. And then you have like the 300D, 300X from Aperture, $1,000. And then you have the G300 from someone like Zhiyun, you know, a little bit of a different design, but again, 600 bucks. So I think what you get for the money is crazy. I want to list that as the biggest pro, because as you're, you know, growing in this industry, needing to invest in a lot of gear, buying something that can get the job done in a ton of different scenarios is a lot better than, you know, putting all your money into one product that is going to then tie up your resources where you can't invest in a lot of the other things that you need to make your projects look better. And so next pro I'm going to say is just Bluetooth controllable. The app is not perfect, but I regularly just control these lights via the nanlite app on my phone. You can save presets, you can set up groups. Overall, I'm really pleased. I wish they would make it a little bit better where sometimes when you turn on the app, it'll reset all of your lights to what you last had them on the app. And so if you've already dialed them in, that can give you a headache. The best workaround for that is just open up the app when you get to a production, make sure it connects, and then start adjusting your lights to make sure they don't change later on when the app is connected. Next pro, there might be a con for some. It's just there is no power ballast and there's just one power cable. For me, time is everything. I can simply throw this light on a stand, plug in one power cable, and I'm ready to go. There's not a power ballast that I have to mount to the stand and then a second cable that I have to run. It just makes it really, really easy. For me, that is a huge pro. And there are not a lot of other lights on the market that I've found that have both no power ballast as well as no large power brick. And so that is a big pro in my category. The CRI is rated at 96 and the TLCI is 97, but I would just push you to go check out the new Shooter article where he goes into a lot of data on this light. You know, how accurate is it at 5600 Kelvin, 3200 Kelvin at different intensities. I would encourage you to go check that article out, as it was really helpful for me when making a buying decision. And so to end kind of the pros category, I'm just gonna, again, harp on price. I think what you get for the money is crazy. You could buy 3 of these for the price of one 300D or 300X and still have money left over for like a 2-foot tube light or even some stands. And so as you're getting into video production, as you're wanting to invest in things that are actually gonna improve the look of your video, I think lighting is that thing that's gonna take you farther than a new camera or a new lens. And so being able to get this much value in a light, I think is pretty crazy. Okay, so here's where I want to break and mention the product that I was sent earlier this year. There's an update that's been made to it. So this is the Sirui zoomable projection mount. I reviewed this, kind of gave some initial thoughts on my channel. Overall, really like it, had some quirks. I think some other people had some quirks. Sirui went back to the drawing board, addressed a lot of them, and I'm really excited about that because I have continued to use this product despite the quirks since I got it. It's probably been my most pulled for lighting modifier for kind of a projection style unit, needing hard light, anything like that. And so really glad that they addressed these concerns, and I just want to run through them really quick. And so the first thing they did is kind of redesigned the body a little bit. They kind of added this plastic housing. I think it's supposed to help with heat dissipation and allows a external fan that comes with the unit to be used. It's a battery powered fan. I'm not sure how often I'm going to be using that. It's one more thing to charge, but I like that they were thinking about the person who may be using this, you know, in a scenario where they need to keep an eye on the heat. So they included That fan, it's detachable. And then they fixed the issue with the cutters being extremely hard to drop in. So I noted this in my video. They were really hard to get in there. Now it's just fixed into the unit. You can use the cutters. I still don't think they cut as precise as something like the nanlite, where you can get a really thin line. But overall, the fact that the cutters are already built in and attached to the unit, I really love. I think makes a huge improvement. They also made it easier to focus. So before, you'd have to loosen a knob and kind of pull the barrel. You know, it's hard to get it to smoothly adjust if you just needed to move it like 1 or 2 degrees out of focus or in focus. So now the knob, as you twist it, just smoothly changes that focus, so you can choose how defined you want the line to be on whatever you're filming. And one of the biggest recommendations they updated is just the lights that they recommend using it with. So they recommend no more than 200 watt lights. I think that's really smart. I actually use this with my 500 watt lights on several projects, running it for several hours, and the barrel kind of has discolored a little bit, turned a little bit red. I'm sure that is something that they found. So the recommendation is now to use these with 200 watt lights. I probably will feel comfortable using it with my 300 watt, fs300s, but we'll just be cautious about running it at 100% to kind of keep that heat down. And if I am gonna push it, make sure to use that fan. So overall, just wanted to let you guys know, keep you updated on products that I'm sent, that I'm actively using. I think it's in the background of this shot here, but I really love it. And it's been a tool that I've pulled for way more than I thought, as it is really lightweight. It actually zooms out wider than my 36-degree nanlite and is the perfect option if you're not needing the full output of one of the larger projection mounts. And I just want to talk through some potential cons. This light is not perfect for everybody just because I'm recommending it. Something I list here could be a deal breaker for you, and that is completely okay. We're all at different stages in our filmmaking career. We have different needs, the productions we work on are different. So I just want to walk through these. They might be potential cons for you. So the first one is that power ballast. If you're putting this light really high in the air, or you're just wanting to boom it out, not having a power ballast could feel like a con for you. A lot of power ballasts allow you to then use V-mounts. And so if you're wanting to power this light via V-mounts, you're not going to be able to do it. For me, both those reasons, it's not a con. I value the quick setup. One less thing to lug around, quicker setup and tear down, and I can control it on my phone. So if I have to put it really high up in the air or boomed out on a stand, I still have easy control of it. And I'm not running into a ton of productions where I'm needing to power via V-mount. I do have one light that is powered off of V-mount, so I have that. I could rent more need be, but that is not a scenario that I'm regularly running into. The next one is going to be no green and magenta shift. So it's just bicolor, 2700 Kelvin to 6500 Kelvin. And the no green magenta shift could affect its long-term use. LED chip lights tend to green over time. But for me, I imagine by the time that this LED has shifted green to the point where it's like annoying to use or unusable, I'm probably going to be at a point in my career where I'm ready to make some investments in some more premium, high quality lights. And so for me, no green magenta shift is not a deal breaker for getting something in this price category. The next one is one that I actually do find annoying. The yoke has 2 knobs, so on the right and the left side to tilt this light, you have to loosen and tighten both of them. If you've used lights that just have one, you realize how nice that is. And the one on the nanlite also has geared teeth, so it is less precise if you're dialing in something like a projection unit like the Sue I mentioned. Could be hard to get it exactly fine-tuned. Other lights that I've used have no teeth, and you can get it much more precise, and they just have one handle on the side. So that could be a con for you. I just want to point it out as it's not a deal breaker for me, but it is a trade-off you're getting with a light at this price. The next con that I've seen several people mention that I have not experienced is loud fan noise. I think these lights maybe are a little louder than your average light because the power unit is built into the body, but it is definitely not unusable by any means. I'm using it right here. I have the light within arm's reach of my arm, and I don't find there's any, issues to my audio, especially if I'm using some natural noise reduction in DaVinci Resolve in post. That's not really an issue that I run into. So some people have taken note of it, but I have not personally had an issue with these lights being loud. Final con I'm going to mention is that this light does not come with a case. It comes in kind of a box with styrofoam, but it's not going to be something you're going to want to lug this light around in. So I'm going to make a recommendation to a bag that I've purchased off Amazon. I have 2 of these. They really easily fit the light, the reflector, the power cable, and then have some additional pockets on the outside for things like gels or Bowens mount adapters or whatever else you might be needing to throw in there. These bags have served me well and might be worth picking up if you are concerned with, hauling these lights around, if they're not going to be staying put in a studio, consider grabbing one of these bags. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you found this video helpful. Really just wanted to make a dedicated standalone video about these lights because I was recently on a production, was talking about my setup, and someone actually made note of these lights. They had never heard of them. They were incredibly shocked by the price. And that made me think, oh yeah, there's probably a ton of people that follow me on YouTube that might not be exactly aware of why I've decided to go with these lights, why I think they're a good value. Nanlite is not affiliated with this video. I think I'm just making this because I want to help you guys save money. That's something that anytime on this channel, I can point out a budget item that packs a punch, that does, pretty much as good of a job as the more expensive options with trade-offs that aren't incredibly important. I want to do that. So let me know any questions down below. Let me know your thoughts on these lights or just the lighting market in general. If you have other recommendations that you would push people towards, I'm sure other people would find that valuable. So let me know down below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.